Her Journey to Healing, Reaching Women with a Desperate Cry is an 8-week Zoom seminar in which Kamala and Winston help women to start living their best life by rediscovering the image of God in their life. Kamala, a licensed marriage and family therapist, joins her husband of 16 years, an ordained pastor, to marry the clinical and the spiritual. You will begin living your best life filled with love, joy, and peace. Register at kwministries.net for this life-changing seminar.
So anxious resistant. So remember there were 4 categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anxious resistant kids were on the opposite end of the spectrum. They didn't have a lot of self-confidence. They really clung to their caregivers, whether it's parents. When I say caregivers, I mean parents, grandparents, just old people in their lives who were, really part of that initial bonding experience. For these kids, they tended to have really exaggerated emotional reactions to stuff, but they also kept the distance from their peers. How did this translate into adulthood? That translated into anxious, preoccupied adults. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of formed less secure bonds with partners and feel really desperate for love and affection.
God is patient. God is kind. God is long-suffering. God never fails. God always hopes. God always trusts. God always perseveres. God doesn't envy. God doesn't boast. God doesn't seek his own, but is always seeking what's best for you. God rejoices in the truth.
That's right.
God doesn't define love. God demonstrates love. Good evening and welcome to our Monday Night Live with KW.
It is a pleasure to be here again, guys, and I hope that you're feeling as excited as we are to be back on another Monday night.
We have been away for 2 weeks now. We have been in revival and we have been revived, and we are really excited to be here. So it's Monday. So how are you doing?
I'm celebrating.
We're celebrating.
We're celebrating. Forget the idea of Monday being a blues day. Monday is our celebration day. We are celebrating life. We are celebrating strength. We are celebrating the ability to do all that we have put on our plates to do.
We are celebrating, and it doesn't matter how we feel behind that. What we're pushing is thankfulness and gratitude for Mondays. We want to change the language.
Absolutely.
Because language creates reality.
It sure does. Intentionality is the name of the game.
Somebody out there is like, yeah, right. Good evening. We are so excited that you're here with us on another Monday night. Kamala, what is it that we do here on Monday nights anyway?
On Monday nights, we talk to you. We talk to you about you. We talk about the experiences we've had, the experiences that we're going through. We talk about life. We talk about love. We talk about challenges. We talk about successes. We talk about it all.
Yes, and we want to share those conversations with you. We have various guests on Monday nights that share their journeys with us. And so we hope that from their journey, our experiences, you are enjoying a better life. As a matter of fact,
I think it would be safe to say that we don't have to hope.
We have heard.
Safe to say that at this point, you guys have told us how much you have not just enjoyed, because enjoyed kind of suggests entertainment.
Right.
You guys have said that you have really been inspired and moved by some of the people that we've had on and their stories that they've shared.
Yes.
So we don't hope anymore.
Right. We know that we know how it's benefiting you, and we're grateful to God for that. We hope it can benefit more of you. Yeah. What else do we do here besides talk, Kamala?
We keep shop. So,
well, speaking about keeping shop now, we have some new products coming up. I'm excited about this.
We do.
Annika, is there any way to bring up our landing page while Kamala is talking?
As you guys might know, those of you who have been with us, but for those of you who have not, as we chat on Monday nights, one of the things that we encourage you to do is check out our website, www.kwministries.net.
Shop.
And part of that website features our shop. So if you put /shop at the end of that, you'll be right there. So you may have seen our devotionals. If not, check it out. You may have seen our coping skills workbook. If you haven't, check it out. You may have seen Ariana's story.
So I have a question.
If you haven't, check it out.
I have a question with your coping skills workbook. Mm-hmm. Are you going to update it to put Dr. Kamala? I'm sorry. I just had to ask. Are you going to update it to put Dr. Kamala?
We shall see. But we do have a couple of new projects that we're working on.
Yes, I'm excited.
Mine will say Dr. Kamala Glenn Taylor when we're done with it.
Mine is going to say, as a matter of fact, Dr. Benjamin say, hi, Dr. Taylor, and half Dr. So mine's going to say half Dr. Winston Taylor. But yes, we are working on some new projects, 3 to be precise. We have a lot more projects in the making stuff, but we have 3 that we want to get out to you by December. Mm-hmm. We are working on another devotional. We're working on a journey with Jesus, through the gospel of Matthew, mm-hmm. Lessons from Jesus. A journey through the gospel of Matthew, lessons from Jesus. We're working on that right now as we speak. It's exciting. It's good stuff. You're gonna want to get a copy of that for as a gift for Christmas. So see, look, Annika has our landing page up there. So a journey through the gospel of Matthew, lessons from Jesus. And then we're working on 2 other projects. Kamala is working on a journey to healing, reaching people with a desperate cry, a therapeutic approach. You want to experience that. That is some life-changing stuff. And I am working on a journey to healing, reaching people with a desperate cry, a spiritual approach.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do want to say about that while we're working on those projects, some of the things that we have already heard so far about a journey to healing have already been really inspiring.
Of course.
If you were watching our ads, you would have noticed that we had a review from somebody who just finished our journey to healing course, which is our online seminar. And they had a really phenomenal experience with that course, talking through how God sees us versus how we see ourselves.
How we learned
Yes.
to see ourselves.
Absolutely.
It was all learned.
Yes.
That was some good stuff.
That was some good stuff.
I had fun doing that.
So, as your shopkeeper, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, pause right now. Like in this moment, take a quick minute. We're not going anywhere. And jump to the website, www.
We're there too, by the way. Annika has us in the store.
We're right there with you in the store, so you won't miss anything. And check out the store. Check out the products. I promise you, there's something there for you. There's something there for your mama. There's something there for your child. There's something there for all the people in your life that you can think of. So do not hesitate. Jump on over there.
There she is. She has up the store. She has the store up. These people are some good salespersons, boy. All right. We're so excited that you're here with us tonight. We're excited tonight to have Dr. Latoya Benjamin in the house.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
So now I don't know her as Dr. Latoya Benjamin. I know her as Kim Bailey. I pastored her mother years ago. Her mother was such a darling. And to watch Dr. Benjamin at work, she is the first elder for one of our larger churches in New York City. And she, let me put it this, Dr. Ron Smith went to preach for them. I don't know what I was doing there that day. I just happened to have been there. Mm-hmm. And his remarks to her was that she's one of the greatest administrators she'd ever seen. That's how Dr. Benjamin rolls. Yeah. She has two amazing girls, married to an amazing husband. He's a teacher in New York, a banker by education, mm-hmm. And former job. Just a wonderful family. Yeah. They cook really well.
I feel like you emphasized that quite a bit there.
Well, I mean, I didn't always look the slim and trim, he does. And so I'm really excited to have her on, and we're going to talk about women in the workplace. We're going to talk a little bit about health disparities and some stuff that happens there. And we're just going to have a nice conversation with her.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and bring Dr. Benjamin into the
There
house.
she is. Hey, Doc.
Good night, Dr. Kamala and Pastor Half Winston.
No, I'm full pastor. Okay, let's be clear.
Half doctor.
I'm half doctor because he has to share. And I think your husband
would say half doctor.
Exactly. So between the two of us, we make a whole.
And the children are a quarter.
Oh boy, no, we're not giving them nothing. There's not enough to share.
They deserve a piece too.
But congratulations are in order, Doc.
Thank you. God be praised.
Awesome. So how about we just get started with the conversation? Now, we don't want to jump just right into women in the workplace, because I think a part of this conversation is also acknowledging you as a woman yourself and how you got to the place where you are now. So I feel like
we want to hear your story, Kim.
Well, as you mentioned, my mother before. So my father passed away when I was 8. So I was raised by my mother fully. And I would see where my mother was a teacher. And hence my brother, who is 10 years older than I am, he came up today, Pastor, so he's right in the house too. Yes. So Kurt. He's 10 years older. He also went on that path of teaching. But I would see where my mother taught me in primary school. What do you call it here? Elementary. So she taught me and taught both of us in elementary. And I would see where, as a single mom, that she would utilize the gifts and talents that the Lord has given to her. And Pastor Winston, her gifts of baking, etc., and making those many talents that she has. So she would make things and she would sell those. She would do after school lessons. She would sell her books and her pencils. And that's how we were taken care of. My aunt, who is her youngest sister, lived with us with her son. And so in watching all of those things that she has done watching Sister Wigan, who is, these women, Sister Samuels, all those three women who were major aspects of my life, and how they dealt with leadership and how they dealt with their families. Therefore, I have become who I am.
You caught it. You
I
caught
caught
it.
it. I
And let
caught
me
it.
say this quickly, Kamala, before you move on. Like, she called some major names, and something that God has blessed me with is I have been able to pastor some amazing people. And Dr. Benjamin's mother, Elder Wiggin, were some of the greatest lay people that Central Jamaica Conference, the Seventh Day Adventist, had for the work that they did. And I'm so grateful that it continued in Latoya.
Yeah. So, as you were kind of just talking about those experiences, what was coming to mind for me is, man, Doc was raised by and
Powerful
around
woman.
some really powerful
Yes.
women. You mentioned just their leadership abilities. So it made me really curious. If you could articulate a couple of things that stand out to you from growing up with
Mm.
those influences, what are some things that you would say that you really took away and took into your own experience as a woman in the workplace?
Sure. So in terms of watching those women, first they were planners. So I
Mm.
would see on a Friday night, Brother Wigan was who was a policeman at the time. My mother and myself would go. They lived in Mineralites, so that was in close proximity. So we would take a cab up
And that's in
to one of
Jamaica,
their,
by the
and
way,
that's in
everybody.
Jamaica, yeah. So we would take a cab, which is about 10 minutes away. We would get there, and I would see these three women. Sister Sam was my mother, and Sister Wigan planning for the Sabbath program the next day, and so they were planners. So that was one of the aspects. They organize and they plan. And in terms of there was no competing, and so I have taken that on to know that you and I, Kamala, we're both women. Pastor Taylor, you are a man, but I know that we're all working together for the same cause. So there's no competition that is needed, and most of all for the humility aspect of it, I have taken that key word into and professionalism in ensuring that there is organizational skills that are utilized in every aspect. It doesn't matter what worship setting it is or professional life. Organization needs to be a key factor also in whatever is done.
So I have a question that I want to jump on, and I know we're going to talk about planning, and I know we're going to talk about that. But let me jump on this because you said it. You said we're not competing. How do you, Doc, carry that into your work environment where corporate America is all about competing? It is about. It's not all of us get to the top together. It is about who gets there first. How do you take that idea of humility of we're working for the common good into the professional life in New York City?
So there's a saying that there's no I in team. So I have utilized that. Where I know that, as I said, we're all working together to ensure, just like you're doing kingdom building in the church, you're also doing building within the organization to ensure that individuals outside are seeing the good that needs to be seen. So they're able to come to your organization. And as I work in a hospital, you want to ensure that, and it might, our Logan says, amazing things are happening here. So you want to make sure that they see that there are
Amazing things.
amazing things that are happening here, and I am not pushing myself. My immediate boss is, and I are the same age. She is a medical doctor. Well, now I have now become a doctor too, but she's a medical doctor. She is, um, I must say, a very good leader in terms of she does not show competition. There is equality. She does not look beneath you, and so therefore have always taken that on as a key, noting that nobody's beneath me. We're all working together in the same organization. We have a mixed diversity of culture: Chinese, we have African American, we have Caucasian, and all of us, although we are of different color of the skin, we are still working at the same organization. We might be on different levels in terms of just a position, but it does not negate my position is as important as, because if I'm not doing what I need to do, then you can do what you need to do. So therefore, in order for all of us to be able to fulfill the requirements that is needed in the organization, then each hand has to be on deck to ensure that everything is fulfilled. So that's the stance that I have taken.
So, Doc, you said a lot there,
She
I know,
did.
thank you.
and nobody gets to that place to be able to speak in the way that you just did without having a journey of their own. How did you get to the place where you are professionally? When I say professionally, I don't just mean in terms of your career, but also in terms of where you are
Your
in terms of
outlook.
church administration and
Okay.
those things. How did you get to this place from the time of being a child, watching your mom and those ladies plan and put things together? How did you get from there to here?
I'll say two words. Only God. So only God knows. Um, I don't necessarily look at myself as different, but it's just that you have gotten a mindset knowing that everything that I'm doing, although it is on different levels and different stages of the journey called life, um, my journey at church, my journey on the job is about ministry. And so I'm in the hospital. I'm not necessarily patient facing, but what I am doing enables patient facing. And so therefore I have taken that stance that I'm going to ensure that what I am doing counts, because I'm doing it for God, and everything I'm doing for God must be done decently, must be done in order. And so I have taken on that persona. So it doesn't matter. My previous position that I was in, and I can say I can speak affirmatively. To be honest with you, I was not comfortable um, at one point. I was not always at this stage. But I wasn't comfortable because I was saying, okay, I need to move to another level. I had my master's and I was completing my PhD. And I looked at it oftentimes to say, why is it that that individual who is of a lesser qualification, I was looking at qualification. I say of a lesser qualification and they are able to move into different avenues when I am also qualified. And I know the Bible, the Lord calls, qualifies who he calls. And so I'm qualified for what the Lord wants me to do at that point in time. And so I see we're 2 years down the line after thinking that way, that the Lord created COVID. I'm going to say that. And so in creating COVID, he created this space where I am dropped into the public health sector, which is what I'm doing. And so I came out of HR into public health. And, it's just a process. I'm not where I want to be in terms of position wise. But again, I'm using that ability because the Lord has placed me where I am because this is what he wants me to fulfill now. And he will move me where he wants because he already moved me from that other position into this because he's setting me up for greater things that he wants
Oh,
me to do.
I love the mindset. Can I want to help her with the language though, if she doesn't mind. God didn't create COVID to get you a better position. Since COVID was there, God used it to get you a better position. I don't think your patients, who your family members that lost your patients, would be happy to hear you say.
That's what came out of the mouth. That's what
I'm
came
with
out
you.
of
I'm
That's
with
all
you. I'm
right.
with
That's
you.
all
mouth.
right.
I'm with you. And that's what John chapter 4 said. Look, because the man was born blind, but the Greek translation, since he was blind, God used his blindness. Um, Go ahead.
So, as you have traversed leadership, what are some challenges that you ran into as a woman specifically?
Um, hmm. So I'm gonna go from should I pastor? I'm gonna go from a church standpoint just
Sure.
to say, okay.
Oh boy,
Um,
this is going to be good.
I'm gonna go from a church standpoint. So um excuse my vernacular. So this little gal came from Jamaica, right? Got married in 2007. Alton was living here before we got married in Jamaica, came here. And Alton's going to Freeport in Ebenezer. I journeyed, you see where I live, Pastor. We journeyed to there. We passed 4 or 5 churches on the way, but that's where my husband was going. So I went with him. Um, One lovely pastor, which You'd love to hear me, and I'm gonna, after we finish, we'll send the video so he can hear this. He's like my dad. As I said, my father died when I was 8, and there's no one who has come close enough to be that father apart from Brother Wigan. Don't you, Brother Wigan, and this other pastor who is Pastor Melvin Mounter has not come this close to see, you know, that there is a God-given talent and that the Lord would utilize me in the way that he would. So he saw that in me, and he pastored us for 4 years at Ebenezer. At the time, I was pregnant with with Ashley in 2014, and he called and he said, "The committee is asking you to be the first elder." And he said, "I know you just had a baby, but the committee is asking you to be the first elder." Of course, we prayed about it. I spoke to my husband about it, and this is my 10th year of being, since then, of being the first elder at Ebenezer. It has not been an easy feat because I'm the youngest. I'm the first female first elder, and as I said, this little gal, and that's, I said this little gal because this is the expression that was made. What can this little gal do? And I have used the approach that I mentioned before, that humility plays a major role, not seeing other individuals as beneath you, but seeing each person, although they might be definitely older. There were like 12 other elders within the elders board. There are other members on the board, but you did not see them as beneath you. You see them as working together as a team, as I say, for kingdom building. And that's the major thing that has led me through this ministry and through this leadership within the church. Although being, you know, called such a, in Jamaica, it seems derogative to say that, you know, other countries may not look at it that way. But, you know, to say that, and I have lived to see those other persons who actually did call me a little gal, coming to say, this little gal has been doing, by God's grace, what the Lord has commissioned and has enabled her to do by God's grace. And I say it's only God. In the workplace setting, as I mentioned before, I have not necessarily think I have reached my full potential that I need to, because the same mentality that I have in a church setting is the same mentality that I have on the work front. And I think that maybe just because it's not my time, the Lord has not seen it fit for me to move to the next level of leadership yet. But I know it is coming whenever the Lord sees it fit. But I must say, within a church setting, I have not necessarily had any challenges. I've had individuals where, because of the leadership style and type of the way in which we work together as a team, and not me thinking I am up there and you're down there. So, you know, I make sure I incorporate everyone in ensuring that we get this work of the Lord, kingdom building, done effectively.
Let me ask you. You said, you know that God has greater in store for you, and I like that you are actually in that process. So talk to someone who is on their job now and they're not where they know they are qualified to be. They're not where they know they should be. Talk to them about how to wait on that greater that God has for them.
You mentioned the word that I was going to use, wait. The Lord answers things in different ways. Wait is it has been the word that I have used to utilize how this process. Um, you know, there are going to be times in your life or individuals' lives that they're saying, "Why not me?" But the Lord is saying, "Wait." You're gonna say, "Okay, XY has moved up. Why wasn't it me?" But again, the Lord is saying, wait, your task at this point in time is what the Lord needs you to fulfill. And when He wants you to be able to do something greater, that opportunity will arise. And so that's what I have utilized as my mantra and to guide me along, because the Lord does things in His timing and not in my timing. And so just have to wait on His timing.
So I want to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench in here. It's a question for both of you to kind of you know take on. Um, I think that what you said just now was excellent. That idea of being able to wait on God to put us in the places that He wants to put us in. Um, how do you how do you do that while also straddling that fence of, as it relates to women in the workplace, where there's often the intentional exclusion of women from certain roles, not because they're not competent, not because they're not educated, not because they're not qualified for the role, but simply because in some cases it's a boys' club or it's a different kind of club. How do we balance those things against each other?
That's a very good question. So how I have, um, you know, looked at that again. Yes, there will be jobs that are mainly for men. I've been told that the being the first elder is only for men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's how you actually do what you have to do and what you have been called to do. Um, as it relates to trying to figure out why it is that I'm not moving up while this man is moving up. I only have one thing to say. I know you have to try to balance and to say, okay, well, it is a gender bias there, gender discrimination that is going on, and it is real. It is definitely real, but you just have to continue to create that atmosphere of professionalism and respect. And eventually, once those factors and of course being humble in all that you do, that professionalism is just like if you're even approached within, I know I'm going maybe off on another tangent, but if you are approached within the workplace um, sexually, then you
Mm-hmm.
just have to ensure that that professionalism and that you're ensuring that you have that dignity that needs to be enforced, even when you're being pushed at, when a male or it can be a female pushing themselves on another female as well, because
Mm-hmm.
of the culture that we have now become in. But as it relates to the male dominating, again, it's just a matter of just waiting. To be honest with you, because the same what no discrimination, person. I might sound that way, but I strongly believe that a woman, there is no woman's job, there is no man's job. Just like in the home, you would say, okay, if the mother is to do this, the mother is to do that, the male is to do that. I think that just like how you work cohesively within the home as husband and wife to raise your children, that within the workplace, that a male and a female, there should be no disparity of whether it's a male's job or a female's job, because all jobs are able to be done. Just like when I know when God created Adam and Eve, they were helpmeets, and so yes, they all both took care of the garden, etc., etc. And so I think that that's how it should be looked at, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of time. I would tell the individuals who think that the males are a female, sorry, who thinks that a male is actually dominating a job. It's just a matter of time, because anything a man can do, no, not to sound discriminative, but anything a man can do, we as women are able to do so as well.
I don't know that I don't know that you have to say you don't want to sound discriminated, because I don't think you are. I think those are just facts that women can do the work that men do. And I also want to say this because I know there might be some hell raisers on here who are watching, and I don't want for you to take Dr. Benjamin's weight as the end all, because some of you hell raisers tore down some doors so that they, Kamala and Latoya, can walk into where they are now. And so I believe that there is a place for the hellraisers. I believe there is a place for the ones that are going to turn over those tables and say, you know what? I'm tired of waiting.
Yeah.
I'm coming into that boardroom and you will make room for me. Let's take a quick break. And I want to come back and I want to unpack that word wait some more from a biblical context, to say that there's nothing passive about that word wait.
like that.
I want to come back and I want for us to unpack that some more. But let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. with Dr. Benjamin this evening. We are so excited to have her. Doc,
Before you jump
yes, ma'am.
into it,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just want to say to those of you who are watching, we definitely want to hear about your experiences,
Yes.
whether you're a woman
Thank
who
you.
has encountered challenges in the workplace, or you are a man who has observed or even worked with women and seen, different challenges in terms of women in the workplace and, equality, those kind of things. We want to hear from you. If you've got questions for Dr. Benjamin, please feel free to chime in at any time, questions or comments.
Yes, we don't even know who's out there watching this evening. No one said hello. So please, I apologize that we didn't invite you to join the conversation from earlier, but please join the conversation. We can't wait to hear from those of you who are out there. That the Bible says, "Wait on the Lord," and again I say, "Wait on the Lord." They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. Um, After you've done everything, then stand. Those words are not passive words. Those biblical command to wait on God does not mean sit down and fiddle your thumb and wait on God. So my question to you is, as you wait, what is it that you have done to prepare for the next level? And would you unpack that some more for women who are in that season of waiting, and to encourage them that it's not a sitting down idly by waiting for something to drop out the sky, but it's a wait with expectancy, which means you do something to prepare. Could you talk to us a little bit about that, Doc?
Anticipation, wait in anticipation. And Psalm 27 verse 14 also said, aspect of it says, be of good courage while you wait. And
Right.
so, in waiting, you have to trust. You have to trust the process. And so in trusting that process, you have to ensure that you have that meekness, that anticipation, that hope, knowing that just like we're awaiting that blessed hope, we are going to await this blessed hope of a new job, a new position, a new whatever it is that we are waiting. And in the season of waiting, you have to ensure that you lay aside some of the baggage of waiting. When I say baggage, I mean the thought processes. So our thought processes that come into the waiting process. We are waiting, but then there are still negative thoughts as to say,
Hmm.
okay, this is not gonna happen. Why? When is this happening? Why, Lord? Why is this not happening? So that's one baggage, that we need to lay aside, because if we don't lay aside those baggages, then we will not be able to ensure that we, in the waiting process, that we're actually being meek and humble, and the humility aspect of it comes into the patience and all of that comes into. So we need to lay aside those baggages that so easily beset us, and ensure that our minds are focused, etc., on what the prize is. So in preparation, what I do also is ensure that I have seasons of, for those who are maybe in this realm also, I ensure that I have my some fasting season of fasting, and I actually speak to that specific that I am waiting on, and not go around the bush and say, okay, Lord, I'm waiting on money, I'm waiting on blah 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 blah, and all these different things. You do it in stages and say, Lord, I'm asking for this at this particular time, and you continuously pray about that, you fast about that. And once those hurdles are met, or you have reached that aspect of what you were waiting on has been accomplished, then you move on. And sometimes you can't just be asking, you just can't be asking the Lord, Lord, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. There are moments as you wait, you're in thankfulness as well. There's a moment of thankfulness that you have, and then you can go back to some moments of waiting. So that's how I actually do my process here.
There's a piece in there that I wanted to highlight. It stood out to me, of course, because of what my role is and the things that I do. But you talked about that thought process that's involved in waiting and being really mindful of where our thought process takes us. And it made me think
Here
about
goes the therapist.
how in waiting for something we can get stuck in this should have happened before. Why didn't this happen yet? As opposed to going back to where you started in the very beginning, which is professionalism, competence. What could I be doing in this waiting period to even better prepare myself for what's to come?
Mhm.
Sometimes we stay so stuck in that thought process of what should have been ours,
What's owed to
what's
us?
owed to us, that we don't ever get beyond that what's owed to us to really assess even ourselves, because sometimes it's not necessarily that I should have.
It's not necessarily that I'm a woman.
It's not necessarily because I'm
I'm
a
just not
woman. I'm
competent.
just not not competent for that role. And so really being able to, do that self-check, take that responsibility, and then move from that place, I think is so crucial.
So what I hear you say is like, like what I know Doc has done. You have earned a PhD as you waited. So you didn't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs. You furthered your education. You prepared yourself so that when whatever would come next, you as you
Be ready.
anticipated, as you as you patiently
Mm-hmm.
waited with anticipation. Once it came, you're ready. You're ready for it. So, could you talk to us a little bit about how women can prepare themselves by furthering their education? By what else is it that they can do as they are in this waiting period? We
Um,
talked about the spiritual experience. We fast. We develop attitudes of gratitude. We dispose of negativity. What are some other stuff that they can do to prepare as they wait, so that once that opportunity comes, they're ready to go to that next level?
so as you said, so it depends on what you're waiting for.
Right.
So you ensure that you are, um, if it's on an educational line, then definitely you're going to move in that direction to ensure that you are on the next level. You know, if it's on a other aspects of life, I'm going to look at it from a, as I did a presentation yesterday, as a race.
Hmm.
So a relay.
Mm-hmm.
So in that relay, you're passing the baton. And so you need to look at it as, um, am I going to hand that baton, or am I the one who is going to be receiving that
Hmm.
baton?
That's good.
And so as you receive, in this case, you're receiving. So you ensure that you receive the baton effectively, and you're ensuring that you have all the tools, the right baton, and holding the baton properly so you can finish that race that you want to accomplish. Other things that can be done is in the process, in the same race, am I ensuring that the legacy that I
Hmm.
want to be passed on
Mm-hmm.
um, is done effectively, whether it's to my child or to other children, other youth, other women. I want to ensure that they are getting that legacy. Um, so in that process, the other thing that I pointed out yesterday was, am I being a blessing? I looked at the story of Elizabeth and Mary when both of them were pregnant at the same time,
Hmm.
and Mary was told, and she went to Elizabeth, and they were in different ages, but as two women, the Lord intervened where both of them were pregnant with two great individuals at the same time, and they needed each other. And so
Hmm.
as we wait, we have to remember that we need other persons, not necessarily women, to ensure that we get to where we want to be, because we can't do it alone. Just like,
Mm-hmm.
we need the Lord in every aspect of our life. We need other persons. And women, as I said yesterday to the other, it was a women group. I said, women need other women.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be ensure that process is taken care of.
But even, sorry, come on. Even though while I'm waiting, even though I might need somebody, I have something that somebody else needs too,
Sure.
right?
Let
So
me
true.
tell you, I got excited just now because Doc, you just talked about the whole relational part of this, and every single time we talk to somebody, I don't care what we have talked
People
about,
need people.
that
Yes,
relational
yes,
aspect
yes. Every
always
time.
comes up. And just like you said, it's as I'm waiting, as I'm getting ready for this new role, as I'm in a role, it's about what kind of relationship do I have with the people around me as well? Am I passing the baton? Am I receiving the baton? What am I, not just what am I doing, but also those relationships?
Come on, I want to ask you something real quick because I think this is instructive for what we're talking about
Mhm.
here. You are teaching at you're
Abilene.
where?
Abilene Christian
Abilene
University.
Christian University, right? And you got that role because of a professor
Yep.
at your school,
Yep.
at your former school.
Mhm.
Talk to us a little bit about what it means as you're in the waiting period that Dr. Benjamin just talked about. What it means to leave seeds of good impression
Mhm.
on people by do well. Let me ask that. What does it mean? Because you don't know who is going to come up in your future and when.
Yep. Yep. I think it goes back to something that Doc said in the beginning. It's your presentation as well. Are you a professional person in your
Mhm.
interactions?
Period.
Period. Because
Not to impress people.
no, just as this is my way of being.
Whew.
Because as I relate to people, as I interact with people, people are going to remember the ways in which I interact with them.
Mm.
And even if I'm not at a place yet to be in a role where somebody could help me be in, they will remember those relationships and the way that the way that
Connected.
that it affected them. Yes. And then they'll project out. They'll go, you know what, this person in this context acted in this way. I can just imagine what they would be like in another context.
Mhm.
Because you gave the example of me being at Abilene. And when I met that professor, I wasn't in any kind of role to be teaching anywhere,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
I was still in my program, and happened to be connected with somebody in a course
Mhm.
who eventually
From
ended
your
up
master's program.
not from the master's program, but who eventually ended up supervising me as a part of my licensure. And based on those two interactions, was able to say, you know what? The way that you operate in this context, I could see you doing well in this context. And so it's the relationship.
So that I want to go to the sexual piece, but before I go there,
Mhm.
I do want to ask this question for people who are overlooked intentionally as they wait. A part of their preparation, a part of waiting with expectation, are there legal courses that they can take once? And quickly, I know that you're not speaking for your companies. I know that you're not speaking on. You're not giving any legal advice. I know that you're not. So quick disclaimer: no legal advice being given here. Neither Kamala nor Dr. Benjamin are speaking on behalf of their respective companies. They're speaking from their personal opinion. People who are being intentionally overlooked, do they have any legal recourse? Is there anything that they can get out of HR? People who are being intentionally overlooked and they realize that this is because of my sex, is there any legal recourse for them?
You just mentioned the answer. So yes, there are representatives within organizations within the human resources department, because there are laws that will protect these individuals, and so they just have to go through the right channels of speaking with directly the HR persons who are responsible for their areas within their department, and just lobby for themselves, having the different uh, what do you call it, have like a chart with them to say, okay, these are the things that has happened during the
Mhm.
course of my tenure here,
Keep a
and
record.
keep a record. Thank you for that word. That's the word I'm looking for. Keep a record of what's happening and say, so and so and so, this is what is happening, and I'd like for my case to be looked into.
Yeah.
Now,
I
I want to quickly say, Kamala,
Mhm.
now Doc said, do it the right way. I heard Doc. For those of you who don't, I don't work for UHS and I don't work for Dr. Benjamin's hospital. For those of you who don't want to do it the right way, my hat's off to you also, because you tore down doors that they can now sit in and say, do it the right way. You striked, went on what's the word I'm looking for? You went on strike.
Protested and
You protested. You had placards. You took off your shirt and walked with your breast naked. You did that and opened many doors for people who can now say do it the right way. So I don't work for any of their companies, so I can tell you, march if you need to, tear down some doors if you need to. We're going. I salute you because your hard work has opened doors for many people. You going to jail have opened doors for many people. So I don't want for you to misunderstand what's happening here with the language. You are also respected, and we do believe that there is a place for you too.
Absolutely. I would add to that by saying, let's say that you're in the context of an organization. Know your policies and procedures.
Yes.
If
Correct.
you don't know what your policies and procedures are surrounding certain things, that will be the thing that will slow down your ability to advocate for yourself. The more you know is the better you can speak to it, and then you, who you're speaking to, just like Dr. Benjamin said, knowing who are where are the places within this organization, or even outside of the organization, where you can seek regress. The knowledge is power. One of the things that they've always said about people of color, which is not
Yes. Put it in
true.
a book.
If you put it in a
You can
book,
hide it from us.
you'll hide it from us. Let that not be our story. So let our story be that we knew exactly what was in place,
Do
how
your
to
homework.
address it, who to address it with. Do your homework.
Do your
Absolutely.
homework. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so very much. Doc, I want to ask you this question now. Sexual harassment in the workplace is very real. I you talked about the pandemic. During the pandemic, March of that year, April of that year, I left the pulpit and I went to chaplain at a prison in eastern Kentucky. And we had so many employees that were fired. That prison was just open. I was the first chaplain. I started the chaplaincy program there. The So many people were fired in those first few months of the prison opening because of sexual harassment. As a matter of fact, the warden had a meeting in which the warden said, "This is not back in the day. You can't speak to women any kind of way. You can't touch women inappropriately. We are going to fire you." And I remember him specifically saying, "Tell." I remember him empowering those women. If someone says something inappropriate to you, if someone touches you inappropriately, if someone threatens you, tell. Your job is secure, your job is safe. How do you speak to some woman who is currently experiencing the trauma of being sexually harassed, whether by words, whether by signs, whether by toys? They're being sexually harassed in the workplace. Could you talk to them for a second?
You just said it. Say something is the low got the I think the slang in New York say, if you see something, say something. So in this case, if something is happening to you, and you're uncomfortable, it makes you uncomfortable. Once it makes you uncomfortable, then you know that it's not right. And so once it's not right, then you need to ensure that you are persistent. And it's just like before with the whole policies of as we mentioned before, know your policies, know who to speak with, because sometimes because of who the individual is that is sexually harassing you, whether it's verbal, physically, mentally, emotionally, then they get away with it because of who they are. And so, as you know, you need to know who within your organization, and if you are not getting that um, dealt with from an organizational standpoint, as Kamala had said, Dr. Kamala had said before, there are channels out there that the laws that protect us, not only women, but all of us as workers, against these situations. And so therefore we need to know, as I said before, do your homework, women, and don't just stand for it. Not because you're a woman, and I know men are abused too, but I'm speaking to the women tonight. Not because you're a woman, do not take it lightly that because I want to keep my job, I have to succumb to what is given to me or what is being portrayed to me or what I have to take because I want to keep my job or I want to move to another level. I was promised to move to another level if I do this, if I do that. No, maintain your dignity. And I'll go back to that word, maintain your professionalism, but most of all, be consistent and be stern and and be forceful in ensuring that you say something to the right person so that you're able not to just be a statistic, because we are some persons have become statistic in that area.
Now,
I would also just kind of add to that from kind of a societal cultural view. One of the things I think that women, we're focused on women. One of the things I think that women struggle with is that there is this idea in society that women are supposed to be open to certain sorts of treatment, and that's supposed to be okay. And I think it might be something that we're moving away from, but at the same
me
time,
too.
that mindset, the mindset is still very prevalent, not just in women, it's prevalent in our society. So we have to be really careful about recognizing when that mindset is present. We've got, let me not get political. Thought about Trump for a second there. Sorry. Sidetrack, sidebar, bring it back. So we have these ideas that float around in many organizations about the role of women and what that looks like. And just like Doc said, you have to be very purposeful about not allowing yourself to be treated in any way. What you said was, if it's uncomfortable, it's probably not right.
All right. So I want to throw something at both of you that is not popular in this context. But Dr. Benjamin, you're my friend and you're my wife, so y'all get over it. Women use sexuality to get ahead. Not all women, but that is a problem. Can we talk about that?
Which is kind of where I was leading. Sorry, this is kind of what I was leading into in terms of our cultural and societal ideas. Some women have the idea that that is how you advance.
Okay.
Right? As well as that's the expectation on the other side of the fence. This is how women advance.
Okay.
And so being mindful of that no, that is incorrect thinking. That's not how we advance. And Doc said it earlier. We advance through qualifying ourselves, maintaining professionality, approaching with humility, doing the right thing.
Right.
That's my
being consistent at what you
Yes.
do, and maintaining that consistency, not being flip-flop, as some persons do, so
don't flirt for the boss, but then when Tom says something to you, all of a sudden you're being sexually harassed.
Correct.
But though, isn't there a place to say, even if she flirts for one person, that's still not okay for somebody else to sexually harass her?
Absolutely.
No.
Right. So that's also
Absolutely.
critical.
Facts.
Right. All right. Okay. Well, I think this was a very, very fair pay, Doc. Let me ask about that now. So we know that in America, women are not compensated equally. Women who do the same work get less pay. How do women advocate for themselves? Because my wife, this is how my wife does it. I'm just gonna tell y'all how my wife does it.
I can tell you.
How my wife does it is she tricks them. Okay, she takes whatever they give you. Offer her a dime, she takes the dime. Okay, and she goes in there and she proves to them, you need me, and then she say, now pay me, and they do. All right, but I don't know that that's the way to do it either. That it works for Kamala, but I don't know that's the way to do it. How do women advocate for themselves from the get-go to say, pay me what I deserve? How do we do that?
So as I take the same approach that Kamala does, but I can say that in going once you're in that interview process and you have reached a certain, say you can pinpoint, these are my qualifications, these are my weaknesses, these are my strengths, this is what I can do, this is what I'm bringing to the table. If XY, I know that do your research again. The percentage of males are being paid XY, I think it's 44% to a 64%. There's a 82% difference within the sector. Go and do your, yes, there is a great line of demarcation. 80% They are paid. It's like
And
crazy.
this is legal?
And this it just I don't know if it, to be honest with you, I have not done that research in terms of to see if it is legal or it happens as a result of just culture and because of the gender disparity, gender discrimination that happens within our society. Whether or not it is fair or not, but I know maybe within our organization, I think that happens within my organization. And so organizations have set pay rates, to be honest with you. Having worked in human resources and worked in the compensation department, I know that there are set pay rates for different jobs, um, whether male or female. And I know I can attest to different, and as I said, I don't want to necessarily give out
I
too much
understand.
information here, but I can attest that, you know, same role that I had, another male a male had the same role, and of course they were getting some more than I was. How they do that this demarcation and that differentiation, to be honest with you, I to this day I did not get that information, and I'm still trying to. I'm still trying to, although I'm not no longer in the department. I'm still trying to. But how do you as a woman try to negotiate that? Bring yourself in, market yourself. That's the only way you're going to market yourself. And as the years go by, if even if you did not receive that amount that was is due to you, because as I said earlier, there should be no demarcation, line of demarcation as it relates to male female, because we're all doing the work for a common goal. And so therefore, if I am a teacher and you are a teacher, although you are male pastor and I'm female, you're getting 80,000, I should be getting 80,000
Mhm.
too. And so once you go in, I always say, get your foot in. Once you get your foot in, then you can do a negotiation and say, I know I came in at 80,000, but Jack is getting 85. And I know that Jack and I are doing the same work. And I know that I even might be giving you 100% more than Jack is. So therefore, um, yes, and so therefore you must be able to do what needs to be done to ensure that you get what you are worth.
I
Sister
would go ahead.
Sister Remo says you must know your worth and not settle for anything.
I just wanted to
That's true.
highlight what you said about research. Glassdoor has been my friend and many people's friend for many years, in terms of what's the applicable rate of pay across a market for your position. What are similar people getting paid in that position
Correct.
across the board? And so those are some things that people can look at, as well as looking at your qualifications. Again, going back to, do you know your organization's policies and procedures? What Doc just talked about a while ago is most places have definitive practices. And so if you meet the qualifications for a particular rate of pay, and that's commiserate with what's across the market, then I might be in a good position. But if I am not, then it's time to do some negotiation and bring to the table what it is that you have brought to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want her to get the money as soon as she goes in the door. Yeah. Anyways, I want to say thank you so very much for joining us on tonight. Dr. Benjamin, it was such a joy, ma'am, to host you, to talk with you about your journey. I know were your mother to be alive, she would be so proud of you. I have watched you in action myself at your church. You have invited us there for KW Ministries, and we are forever grateful. Um, I've watched you in your home with your family, eating at your table, and you're just an amazing woman that I am so happy to be associated with. So we're thankful. Sister Remo, you're the only person that said anything tonight, ma'am, and so you automatically win. You won last week. You never registered. You never went not registered. You never went on and to the site and grab your stuff. So Sister Remo, you win again tonight, but you have to go to kwministries.net. I know you've done it a million times before, but you have to go to kwministries.net and then Anna Kay will get in touch with you. That's how we will even know what it is that you're going to get out of the store. So thank you so very much, everyone who came in, who joined us, who well, you didn't participate in the discussion except Mr. Remo. Thank you so much, Mr. Remo, for joining in the discussion. Dr. Benjamin, this was so informational. The thing I'm taking away from tonight, Kamala, is the waiting.
Yeah.
And it's not a passive wait.
No.
Sarima came in and then said, know your worth and not settle for it. It's not a settling wait. It's a preparatory for what's coming next.
Yeah.
But I have to prepare.
Yep.
I have to make sure I'm educated. I have to make sure I'm disciplined. I have to make sure my mindset is a humble one. And then the other thing that stood out for me, and I know we're over time, is her approach to humility. Yeah. I heard Dr. Benjamin in New York City say, listen, I'm not competing with anybody. And I think that's commendable, because New York is a rat race.
I've seen it said somewhere that we should never be in competition with other people. We should only be in competition with ourselves. And being better than who we were before.
So our challenge to you from KW Ministries tonight, hashtag this on our way out, Anna Kay, be better than who you were before. Now, I want to qualify that, because, we're all on the intrinsic value piece. So I don't want for it to be, you are better. You are already the greatest thing there is. You are great. So I want for us to qualify that. The fact that you are created in the image of God makes you great. Enough. What you're saying is do better than you did before. So it's not be better. You can't be any better. You are best. You were created in the image of Almighty God, and your best, your greatness, you're already worth it. It's not dependent on your education. It's not dependent on your degree. We're talking about your qualifications for your job.
Yeah.
And we want to separate the two. You are already great. We want to make sure we understand that. So do better than you did before. How about you take that from KW Ministries tonight? Hey, Kamala, if it's Monday night.
You're live with KW.
Thanks, Dr. Benjamin. Peace.
Thank you for having me.